I hitched my boat onto the back of my truck. I called a friend and said, let's go try our luck. He said, I'm sorry, buddy, I can't go. I'm watching the Orlando Wilson Fishin' Show.
Fishin' with Orlando Wilson is brought to you by Chevy Trucks. Every day, more people are winning with the heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet. By Kmart, where you'll always find the quality you need at the price you want. Evinrude Outboards. Evinrude owners are born, not made. And by Zebco and Motor Guide, the folks you fish with.
You know, folks, I don't know a better way to catch a big bass than fishing with wild shiners. Today we're going to be fishing wild shiners on Florida's Lake Kissimmee. Kissimmee is just one of the many famous lakes on the Kissimmee chain, and all the lakes in the Kissimmee chain produce their fair share of big bass. And using golden shiners, well, that's just one of my favorite ways of catching them. Kissimmee is a lake many of you have heard of, and it's one of a series of lakes on the Kissimmee chain. Some of the more famous lakes on the Kissimmee chain include West Lake Toho, Cypress, Hatchinahaw, and of course Lake Kissimmee, where we're at today. And then from Kissimmee, the Kissimmee River flows into Lake Okeechobee. Today we're going to be fishing isolated peppergrass patches that you find scattered throughout the Kissimmee chain of lakes. The peppergrass that we've chosen to fish today are located some distance off shoreline. We just had a cold front that's passed through, and I'm not sure how good the fishing's going to be, but y'all stick around. At least we're going to have a lot of fun. Well, put that one out, free line that one. Get back down here, I got another one with a hook on. We're gonna fix this one and fish it under a balloon or a float, whichever you prefer to use. In this case, we're gonna use a balloon. I like a balloon. We'll talk a little more about that in a minute. You know, the good thing about using this big game 25-pound test line is that it has a real hard coating, so you know it withstands abrasion, like the abrasion you get from fishing in the vegetation or in rocks or whatever, much better than a lot of line. And also you got good knot strength. So I've tied a 4/0 Kale-style live bait hook, and now I'm going to put a float, and I'm going to fish the float about 2 or 2.5 feet above the hook. Now all I'm going to put in that balloon is just a small puff of air, and the advantage a balloon has over a cork is that when you're fishing in vegetation and you get a run and the fish moves off, a lot of times they'll move between reeds or between cattails, and the balloon will mash flat. It's pretty pliable, so when it gets into vegetation, it'll mash flat and give, and it'll pull on through where the harder cork or plastic floats won't do that as easily. And also they're quick and they're really inexpensive. When you lose 3 or 4 of those corks, you'll see what I'm talking about. You can go to Kmart and pick up these balloons and hooks, and as far as that goes, anything you really need, but just go by and pick up a pack of these party balloons, the small ones, and you got a month's supply. So all I'm going to do, I tied just a little half hitch, I guess you'd call it, in the balloon, and I'm going to do the same thing again over my fishing line. So I'm just going to tie the balloon onto my fishing line. Now really, I can wet the monofilament line in my mouth, and I can slide that balloon up and down pretty easily. So that's how you adjust the balloon. And so I'm going to adjust it and fish about 2.5 feet. These are good sized shiners for what we're doing. Now you can get shiners smaller and you can get shiners much bigger. We're fishing on the backside of a cold front, and when you have those conditions, I prefer a smaller size shiner. Now when you've had consistent weather for several days and the fish are really on and the big fish are biting, then you may want to use the shiners that are up to 10 or 12 inches long. Now these are 6 or 7 inches long, and overall this is the size I like to use most of the time. But anyway, to get back to rigging a shiner, a lot of times when you're running a shiner, like up under real heavy mat or vegetation, you see there the peppergrass bed we're fishing. We've got thin peppergrass all around the boat, but there's a thick cluster of it there. And what we're doing, we're picking out the thicker clusters, and that's what we're fishing. Now today, we're fishing on the back side of a cold front. So we're looking for two things. First off, the fish aren't as active, and they're going to be closer to like a little bit deeper water. So what I found today is that the grass beds, the thick grass beds way out offshore, closer in deeper water, and this particular grass bed is close to a little 11-foot deep hole out there. So for some reason, the fish are just on this grass bed better. But a lot of times when you're freelining shiners in thick grass, you'll want to hook them just above the anal fin. In other words, between the tail and the anal fin. And that's the lower fin, the last fin, or the first fin coming back toward the front of the fish from the tail. But hook him right there with a small hook, like a 2/0, and preferably a weedless hook. And that allows the shiner to swim forward without the hook in his mouth. Because a lot of times the hook in his mouth, when he's swimming like away from you, will hang in the bushes. But when you hook him in below the tail fin, between the tail and the anal fin, the hook is pointed backwards toward the fisherman, so it's much more weedless till you get ready to come in with it. But free lining and heavy vegetation, it's just about a must to hook them that way. Now you need to give the fish a little more time, because most time these bass will swallow the shiner head first. So, you know, when you hook them in the anal fin, if you've got a big shiner, you know, you need to give them time to go ahead and get the bait down and go ahead and swallow the bait. Oh boy, here we go. Yeah, one's got this one. Well, what's he gonna do? Yeah, there he goes, right down that way. Oh, yeah! Oh! Oh, boy, he's hung up. Come on. Come on. Come in here. Whoa. Oh, he ain't all that big. You see all that peppergrass, and he's trying to get back down in it. Somehow we lost all that stuff off of it. Whoa, gosh, I let him get back down again. Come on, Mr. Big. Oh, thank you. I got him hooked on the outside of the mouth. Now, you don't see that very often. Usually when I hit these shiners, you're going to hook them down in the throat further. So that just further illustrates that they're probably mouthing them a little bit. But that's a nice fish. He'll weigh 4 pounds. In 1985, the members of the Portage Area Muskie Club of Portage, Wisconsin approached their city government with a unique idea, transforming the city's abandoned wastewater treatment plant into a muskie fish farm. The idea, while unusual, made some sense. The plant's concrete tanks, extensive pipe system, and location near a river made it an excellent site for raising fish. The various tanks were cleaned out, a pumping station and 2,000 feet of pipe were installed to bring water from the nearby river, and an aeration system was installed to provide oxygen. Now in its 5th year, the fish farm is raising a variety of game fish, including true muskie, hybrid muskie, walleye, and largemouth bass. Since its inception, the farm has introduced more than 70,000 of these fish to southern Wisconsin waters.
Our stocking program has been very successful because of volunteerism. And the thing that really makes these volunteers show up every day is what they see happening to their lakes in their backyards, in these 11 different areas that we're stocking, they're seeing an improved fishery.
Most of the funding for the Portage Area Muskie Club has come through grants from the Fish America Foundation. This private foundation provides funding for the responsible public and private organizations from worthwhile projects which conserve and improve the water and fisheries resources of North America. For more information about Fish America Foundation goals and projects, or to contribute to the Fish America Foundation, call the number you see on your screen. Oh, I got one going here. Got one going. Let me get this one baited up. Ooh, man, I love it when it's like this. Let me get this shiner on. Come on, shiner. Open your mouth. Oh, he come back up. My float came back up. Oh, that's another jackfish, I'll bet you. That's right where the float was. He didn't move off with it. That's a jack. I'll bet that's a jack. I bet anything that's a jack. See, he pulled it under again, but he ain't holding it under very far. I'll assure you that's a jackfish. Whoa. Come in here. It may not be a jack. It may be a good largemouth. It is a good largemouth. Folks, really, I don't know how to explain how a bass that small thinks he can eat one of those big old shiners. But they do. I mean, that little bass couldn't hardly pull a balloon under. Isn't that something? Shouldn't have thrown him back. Daggone, I keep forgetting. A lot of times when you fish in one spot like this, you need to be careful of throwing too many fish back in one hole. They can get back and turn the other fish off. I got this tank. I had a guy make it over in South Carolina. Gosh, I don't remember what the guy's name is. But these are made, and I designed them especially for wild shiners. These wild shiners need a lot of room, and they don't need square corners, so I had him fix the tank kind of in an oval shape, and so they don't run their head in the corner and knock themselves out as bad. And I know that might sound silly, but those shiners are absolutely go nuts sometimes when you catch them and try to hold on to them. So that's the reason for that big tank. So if you hear like a constant noise in the background, it's either one of those jet fighters or my tank. I don't know which. Oh, here we go. Man, I tell you what, the activity's picking up significantly, isn't it? It's getting in the afternoon. The fish didn't bite this morning. But boy, I mean, they're on this afternoon. So are the nets. Between the nets and these fish, they're driving me nuts. Well, this may be a jackfish. Oh, come on, man. This is a pretty good fish here. Whoa. That's another. That fish will weigh 5 or 6 pounds. Come out from under the boat, Bubba. Man, I tell you what, that fish is not a giant, but man, he get up under that boat, around that vegetation, they're hard to get. Now, that's a better fish. I'm gonna tell you a little secret. I've been out here all morning. This is the first decent-sized bass that I've caught. I mean, that's a nice bass. Florida black bass. Thank you, sir. Look at it. Whoa! Man, that fish hit right there. I mean, the fish wasn't 20 feet from the boat. You know, the main thing with this heavy line and the big rods and this vegetation is to turn that fish and get him headed towards you before he can get out there and gather up a bunch of those weeds. You know, they can get out there and make a circle, and your line will just hang. I mean, I don't care how heavy a line you got. If they ever get out there and make that circle in the grass, they'll just tear your line off. Tell you, the free line is really maybe working a little better than the other line. All right, get out there and do your job, Harvey. When you're free lining one, or you're not fishing it under a float, you really got to keep your eyes on it. Watch it real close, and occasionally you even have to pick it up and feel and get the condition of the shiner. You know, when that shiner's out there threading its way around through the pepper grass and things that we're fishing, and he gets close to a bass, I mean, he'll get real nervous. You'll feel him. He'll just start swimming much harder, much faster. And you'll just tell a big difference. He'll stop, he'll try to hide a bit, and then he'll move again. And when the fish hits him, you'll just feel a hard bump, and your line just start moving off. It'll just be a slow, steady pull-off, where before he was having to struggle to pull the line. So there's a way you can tell when you're free lining. I got to run here, guys. All right, now my float was there just a minute ago. So I'm going to put the reel in gear, and I'm going to come back real slow. And I'm going to try to get an idea of what the fish is doing. Now I'm going to put just enough tension to try to get my line in the end of my rod in a straight line with wherever the float is. Now, you know, if there's one part of shiner fishing I like, it's the anticipation of setting the hook, because you don't know how big it is. I mean, this fish could weigh 5 pounds. Whoop, my float came back up. See it right there? All right, it's going back down again. That may be a jackfish. Sometimes jackfish will do that. And when I say jackfish, I'm talking about a chain pickerel. It's under again. Tell you, he's not moving off with the bait. A lot of times they'll just try to kill your shiner. I'm gonna see if that float will come back up. It felt like he turned it loose again, but I'm not sure that he did. I'll tell you what, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can catch this one. Usually you wouldn't give them this much time. Yeah! That's a jackfish. That's what I was afraid of. He acted like a jackfish. And a lot of times you won't catch them. These things are great eating. But now you want to be real careful with the jacks and not put your finger in their mouth, and I'll show you why in just a minute. I'll go ahead and release him. That's a chain pickerel. Down south we call them jackfish. But look at all the sharp teeth in his mouth. I mean, those things are like razor blades, and they'll nail you. But those jacks like shiners as much as the bass do, unfortunately. It's still fun to catch. You know, I don't care what you're catching. When that float goes under, you just don't know what it is. I think that's the great part about shiner fishing. Man, I tell you what, I don't know what it is. Man, I'm telling you, he's got back up under the boat. There he is. That's a good fish. Look, 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 look. Get a shot at him. That's a big fish. That's the biggest one we've had on today. He got under my other line here. Get out of the way. Come in here, Mr. Big. Come up from here. Man, he got down in that stuff. I didn't think I was going to get him out. Look at there. Oh, that's a toad, isn't it? He didn't even get the shiner. Ooh, look at that. I got him barely hooked right in the corner of the mouth. Look at that. I didn't even, I bet the hook will fall out. Look, it ain't even stuck through. I tell you, you get the line out there and you get it wrapped around. That fish, now, that fish may have come off. Isn't that a beautiful fish? And it's full of roe. Now, we're here in the early part of January, and these fish haven't spawned yet. A lot of times down here, see how wide it is? I mean, that fish hadn't spawned, but she's getting ready to. But isn't that a beautiful fish? That fish will weigh probably 8 pounds. Maybe a little more than that, I don't know. Ooh, fingers are getting sore. That's a nice fish. I tell you, we've had really a good day today. It started out real poor this morning, but it ended up this afternoon like shiner fishing ought to be. I mean, they have really just worked me. Starting about 1 o'clock, I guess. We did not have, well, we had several runs this morning, but I don't think we put a fish in the boat till probably 1 o'clock. But, you know, that's the way it is shiner fishing. Now, we hit a bunch of places this morning. We started out fishing inside grass lines, then we moved to the outside of the main grass lines, then we moved out fishing pepper grass beds out in the lake. So, you know, we just moved around, and I think finally we hit the right thing. Now, in the mornings, I don't know whether they're going to be out in this open water areas around these pepper grass or not. They may just be out here because of this front. Or the ones out here just may be more active. Tomorrow, the grassline fish maybe do better, you know, if that front, you know, moves on through and temperatures start to moderate. But anyway, it's been a great day, and I'm glad y'all could be with us today. And I hope maybe we've shown you something that'll help you when you get ready to come down to the state of Florida where the big bass live. See you next week.
Fishin' with Orlando Wilson has been brought to you by Zebco and Motor Guide, the folks you fish with. Evinrude Outboards. Evinrude owners are born, not made. By Kmart, where you'll always find the quality you need at the price you want. And by Chevy Trucks. Every day, more people are winning with the heartbeat of America. Today's truck is Chevrolet.
Won't do no good, I'm not at home. Don't drop back 'cause I ain't in. I'm gonna fish.
What would you like to see on the show? Send your comments and suggestions to Fishin' with Orlando Wilson, Production Department, Post Office Box 158, Woodstock, Georgia, 30188.
Gonna chunk 'em out and reel 'em in. I'm gonna fishing again. Ah, chunk.
Orlando's upfitted vans and trucks by Choo Choo Custom Automotive Conversions, Chattanooga, Tennessee.